You'll be able to hear me now. I did it again. I am sometimes my very own worst enemy. I had everything set up, moved the microphone out of the way for a minute, and forgot to move it back. So here we are. Good morning. Happy Sunday. Happy blue skies and white clouds, at least in California. Happy being where God is. Happy being aware that you are where God is. You should be able to hear me now. Somebody, would you? I would love that. Yes. Okay. Thank you, Brenda. Thank you, Nancy. Good. All right. Well, turning the microphone on, putting the microphone in front of you and turning it on is always a good move. And I will get all of the pieces together. I had it all set up at one point, and then I needed to go do something, and I set the microphone aside, and so apologies. And what I'd like to do before we do anything else this morning is just take a moment and acknowledge the beautiful world that is out there and the spirit that runs in and through everything. To be thankful for those people who have been on the front lines of the recent circumstances and have been there for all of us because it's what they're called to do. And thankful most of all for the spirit that calls. That still small voice shows up within each and every one of us and says, you, come, follow me. Be here and be now. So take a moment, if you will, close your eyes if you're comfortable with that, and just breathe in peace. Breathe in your awareness of the presence of God, where you are right now, because it is all that there is and is everywhere. It is as much with you right now as it is everywhere in the universe. And let us simply be thankful for that. Know that awareness protects, loves, cares for, empowers each and every one of us, each and every precious minute of our lives. And so it is. There. Now, see, if I had done that before I moved the mic, I probably would have remembered to put it. But I'm human and flawed. Oh, well. It gives me growing room, doesn't it? I like that. I have my lemon juice with me this morning. I hope you have something with you and someone with you. And if you don't have a someone, know that you have God. So regardless of what it may look like in your life in any given moment, you are not ever alone. So yay, here we are. Another Sunday together. I cannot tell you how excited I am about these opportunities to be together. Many years ago, decades now, I used to get up on Sunday mornings excited. It was my favorite day of the week. Got to get up and get dressed and put it all together and go be with you. Go be people of like minds, be with people who wanted to grow and learn and stretch and become older people who told me sometimes that they didn't green bananas anymore. Paul Stauffer used to say that more than once. And I asked him one time why I was suddenly going to church when he, in fact, told me he hadn't done that in decades. And he said, well, you know, I go on a trip. you'd go find a good travel agent. And that's what I think on. Loved him. So there were people like Paul who thought of me as their travel agent, and I loved the idea. And then there were people just getting started in life. Susan brought Maxwell Love to church. Good stuff. Good stuff. Some of you out there, I had the privilege of marrying. Some of you I baptized, and you're grown up and adults now. And some of you wonderfully in my life. Some with your families. Some of you started out alone and ended up with someone, and some of you started out with someone and ended up blissfully on your own. So many lives changed in that time. So much to remember and think about and be grateful for. But I can tell you, I am as excited now to be getting up on a Sunday morning and getting dressed, more happy, which is a good thing. I can remember all those years ago having a discussion with another minister about whether or not we had the gut to do church wearing pants yet. Really had that more than once with more than one minister. Have you worn pants in the pulpit yet? I think it was easier for me. To begin with, I was in Burbank, and well, Burbank's just kind of cool. And number two, I thought of it as a pulpit. It was always just a platform to speak about God. And I didn't think God cared if I wore pants. So I was probably one of the first to do that. Thanks to all of you, I may well have been one of the first to do a lot of things. Anyway, here we are, and I am just as excited today as I was all those years ago. I get to get up and be with you once again and the platform and talk to you about my very favorite thing in the whole world, spirit. Spirit, as it is in the world and as it is in each one of us, and the melding of those two ideas, which is what we're really all about. That there is no ocean, there is no God out there, and little bitty us. There's just God everywhere and in every one of us. And I'm pretty thrilled about that. Thrilled about the opportunity to speak to you about it again on Sunday morning and on Wednesday evening. So bring your friends. Get your friends. Send them a link to the talk. It's posted every Sunday and every Wednesday right after it's live. Share it. That's how most of us got here, and I think that's how we will grow and become even healthier and a bigger spiritual family. And wow, what an opportunity that is. So there's my commercial. I'm done with that. I would simply like to talk to you about what I would like to talk to you about today, which is wielding your spiritual power. I must admit that I got the title from an astrology report. It said at the end of all the other things that it said, it is time for us to wield our spiritual power. And I thought, that's a great talk title. I have no idea for sure what I'm going to talk about, but I love that title. So I gave Kat the title because she was going, I need a title. And she made a meme and put it out, and that, okay, now I have to do something about it. So I looked up a couple of things, and those couple of things took me exactly where I wanted to go. And I'd like to share that with you. So let's start here. In the late 19th century, Lord Acton observed that power tends to corrupt, and that absolute power corrupts absolutely. And we have, I think, all of us, too many times in our lives, been witnesses to the truth of that axiom. Dictators who come to power with the people in mind, who forget about the people and get all wrapped up in conserving the power that they have, using that power to harm the people. So I'm going to tell you something today that I would like you to think about. I'd like you to think about it today, and I'd like you to think about it every day. You, yes, you, sitting there on your couch with your dog or on your lap. You, in your pajamas, you too. You, just as you are, you have power. In fact, you have absolute power. Acton's phrase was an observation that a person's sense of morality lessens as his or her power increases. And it's certainly sometimes true. We've all seen it. But what if this, like the other axioms we grew up with, isn't always true? What if, in fact, the exact opposite might more often be the truth? Remember John Boehner, the former Speaker of the House, the one who preceded Nancy Pelosi? John once said, "The value of the majority lies not in the opportunity to wield great power, but in the chance to use power to do great." And what if, which is becoming one of my favorite phrases, what if he had been talking not about the majority of men and women in the House of Representatives, but about the majority of people in the world? The power to do great things. What if you had that power? And not only had it, but in fact were using it all the time. But because you didn't realize or forgot that you possessed that power, you were not always using it to do great things. So here's something to think about. Your words create your world. That's not a what if. That's a what is. Your words create your world, and you are using your absolute power every time you send thoughts of love and understanding into the world. And, listen up, you are using or abusing your power every time you send thoughts of hate and vengeance into the world. Your word not only has the power to mold your world, it absolutely does it every time you speak. So here's a scenario. You were assigned to disarm a bomb that could explode at any moment, would you not handle that bomb with deep respect and do everything in your power to remember and to do what you needed to do to disarm it? Wouldn't you? You wouldn't be careless. You wouldn't be setting it down someplace and forget that you were assigned to do that. No, you'd be very careful and very aware, and very important to you to remember what you knew and to use what you knew. So here's the deal. Your words have the same power. No, I think your words have a power. And yet we speak and act as though what we say was insignificant. Your words are not insignificant. They are, in fact, immensely powerful. More powerful than any action you could take, an action which may not have an effect on your world, yes, but which cannot possibly be as powerful as the words you speak, which actually create that world. This is not a new idea, but it is one that begs to be considered in these complicated times. It's an idea, in fact, whose time has come. We need to be reminded that all the forces in the world are as powerful as an idea whose time has come. Thank you, Victor. And thank you, too, to Alice Walker, who wrote, "The most common way people give up their power is by thinking they don't have." We've all been guilty of that, haven't we? Haven't we all, especially recently, found ourselves thinking and probably saying, "I feel powerless to do anything"? And so it is. And so it is. But ignorantia juris non excusat. Oh, I'm so sure I have messed that up. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. You have the power. You have the ability to change the world for good. And you forth that power every day with every loving word and with every judgmental observation, with every uplifting creative word, and with every idle complaint. Make no mistake. This is a universal law that we are dealing with, and ignorance and lethargy are not valid excuses for ignoring it. We pray for world peace, don't we? We pray for the environment. We pray for an end to this virus that is decimating populations and shows no sign of slowing down in the near future. We pray to a heavenly deity to fix it. But in the 3rd century BC, that's a long time ago, folks, BC, Epicurus wrote, "It is folly for man to pray to the gods for that which he has the power to obtain by himself." Can you hear Peter, Paul, and Mary singing, "When will we ever learn?" There is hope, however. We may yet look at this differently and create the change that we dream of, that we pray, that we envision. Robert Caro, a biographer who certainly had experience experience witnessing the results of power, wrote, "We are taught Lord Acton's axiom." Boy, there's two words that shouldn't be in the same sentence together. "All power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely." I believed, he wrote, that when I started writing my books, I believed that. But I don't believe it's all true anymore. Power doesn't always corrupt. Power can cleanse. What I believe is always true about power is that power always reveals. It sends shivers down my spine. Power always reveals. So here's another question for you. What does your life, your world, reveal about your use of the power you possess? Is that what you wanted to reveal? Is that what you wanted to create? Is that, in fact, the world you want to live in? Easy to say no, I want it to be different, but what can I do? Good question. Fair enough. I'm sending questions to you. You can send one to me. What can you do? What can any one person do? You can take responsibility. You can take responsibility for your words. Take responsibility for your thoughts. You can pay attention to what you are saying and reclaim your power, and that will make a difference. Do not allow yourself to fall under the spell of powerlessness. You are a creator. Your word has absolute power. What world do you want? You can begin with words to create that now. You cannot to say that you are powerless unless that's the world you want to reside in. Because each time you say it, you solidify the foundation that it is so. You cannot continue to say that it is an us and them world and they are crazy unless that's the world you want to reside in. Please understand, I'm not saying join forces with those you absolutely do not agree with or accept those values go against your values and ideas and your moral judgment. Please do not do that. I am saying realign your thinking, reconsider your words, especially when you don't think one is listening. Those words that you mutter just to get along. Those things you tend to agree with even if you don't really agree with them, just to not rock the boat. You see, something you need to know. Big Brother may not be listening, but creation always is. Reconsider your words. When you use them, you are aware of the power that they possess and the creative force that is behind them. And use that power to shape the world you believe you should be living in. The world we are capable of creating. I believe we have spent too much time and energy bemoaning the present state of the world. We have wasted 2 words on what is wrong. not realizing that the more we affirm the wrong, the more of that we call into being. It's time to change our vocabulary. Now, I don't know that ever, 30-some years I have been a minister, I have ever quoted Calvin Coolidge before, but I'm about to. Coolidge said, "We do not need more intellectual power. We need more spiritual power. We do not need more of the things that are seen. We need more of the things that are unseen." So here's a secret. If the word you want is unseen, it is not because of them. It is because you and I and the others like us, we who have a vision of a more kind, more loving, more safe, more stable, more working world, have not yet spoken to being. We need to be more responsible. We have the power. We need to use it consciously. So, here are my questions today. How are you, how are we collectively building our power in the world? I expect you to come up with all of the answers right now. You have time to think about this, but don't take too long. Are we using the power for good? Are we committed to remember how very powerful we are? Are we minding our minds and our words? We are not accidentally creating a world that we really want no part of. Have we slipped under the spell of the collective consciousness, the collective belief that the state of the world be soberingly wrong, but that there is nothing we can do about it? But if what many great minds have said singly long time is true, then our words have power. And if that is true, what might we be able to do? Think about it for a moment. What might you create in your world if your words really do have the power that even Jesus proclaimed? And what if that world that you imagine is not imaginary, but is what is meant to be? And that the very vision of it in our minds, the very thing that calls us to believe that it can exist, is the very power that will make it happen if we only believe. Speak about that world. We have, I think, for too long been focused on maybe it's not the right thing. Future generations seem to be headed in the right general direction, but we're the grown-ups now. And some of you are part of the future generation. So it's not that I'm not speaking to you. I'm just concerned that we don't screw it up before you get here. Billy Graham once said, the great question of our time is, will we be motivated more by materialistic philosophy or by spiritual power? It's good. Many of us in a bring it to me, I can create it kind of world. And some of us did that very well, and others perhaps went too far. Direction you can, go too far, even in the direction of what appears to be good, and step over a line that changes things. And I think we were perhaps more motivated by a magic philosophy, partners, palaces, and parking spaces, for one, than by the awareness of our own spiritual power, our immense spiritual power. So Graham's question is still waiting to be answered. And I believe that the world that we create, in fact, will be the answer. How do you want it to be? What kind of world do you want? And do you want your children and your grandchildren to live in? See, if you are unhappy with your world, change your words. And you will have a greater effect upon its transformation than all of the criticism or frustration you could possibly use. It does not change the world for good for us to sit around complaining. Oh, would that it could. Kind of fun sometimes to just be snitty, isn't it? But that doesn't accomplish any great good. And I think we must be responsible for creating a great good. If our parents and grandparents were the great generation, can we not yet be the greater generation? Can we not yet be the powerful generation and be a power for good? Rumi once said, raise your words, not your voice. For too long, I think we have raised our voices. We have complained, we have bickered, we have whined about the state of the world. It is time now to raise our words. Raise your words. Change your words, and you will change the world. It likely will not happen overnight, though it could. Chances are we will slip. We will hear ourselves complaining. We will raise our fist at the television and shout our displeasure at the news. The difference, I hope, will be that after today, you will hear that voice and recognize what you have just said. Rethink your words so that you create what you want, just more of what you've got. And with that change of words, you will claim a different truth for your world, for our world. For a long time, I had a love-hate relationship with M. Scott Peck. Ever since I encountered the chapter about discipline in The Road Leveled and threw the book across the room. I never did things like that, but I did that. Discipline, I thought. Great, I thought I got away from that. Discipline. And the more I read in that chapter, the madder I got, and that's how the book got on the other side of the room. But I have come time to appreciate both his thinking and his words. I learned that discipline is simply to be a follower of something, a disciple, one who just says that that is the philosophy that they believe, but one who lives. Can we be that? Disciples of what we believe, followers of what we believe, not just in word, but in deed, and especially in word? Can we use the awesome power that we have to create different reality? I know we can. I know we can. I know you can. You with the cat or the dog on your lap and you in your pajamas. We can change the world. Peck said, the great awareness comes slowly, piece by piece. The path of spiritual power is a path of lifelong learning. And, he said, the experience of spiritual power is basically a joyful one. May you be joyful in the renewing of your words. Have fun. Have fun with that. Pay attention to what you're saying. And when you find yourself saying something that is not what you want to create in the world, change it right there on the spot. Remember my old mantra, me doing that and I don't do that anymore? Well, it works just as well with words. There's me saying that and I don't say that anymore because I recognize how powerful it is when I say anything. May you be joyful in remembering your power. Joyful in the discovery that you can and do make a difference every single time you speak. Make a powerful difference. Remember who you are. You absolutely make your world. Make it good. Wield your power like a lightsaber, knowing that in its path only good can come about. Replace frustration and discontent with the joy of creation. You are powerful. You can and do make a difference. Remember that. Remember, too, that wherever you go with God. For in fact, you can go no other way. And so it is.
Paul wants to know techniques.
Techniques. Paul would like to know techniques. Pray is a starting place. Pray. And I don't mean pray, dear God, out there, fix this. I really don't mean that. What I do mean is pray affirmatively, which is recognizing that your word is powerful. And so when you pray, when you speak into your prayer, pray as though what you want to create is already a reality. We're told in the Bible, that very first chapter in the Bible is fabulous. It really is. It's an amazing story. There was nothing but darkness, nothing but black, dark, and nothingness. And the power of the universe said, let there be light. As though light had always existed. As though turned a switch and there. And the Bible tells us, and there was light. And that power said on the very first day, that's good. What if your prayer was let there be, knowing that it's already out there? That if you can think of it, if you can dream of it, if you can hold it in your heart as a vision, if you can envision it, then it already exists. You just need to call it out of the darkness and into the light. And when it name it good. And then move on to the next job. That's what we're told God did. And you are that. So you are more than the divine expressing. You are the expression of the divine. You are divine. We toss it around so easily, don't we? The idea that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. But all too often for us, what that is, in fact, is an excuse. Yeah, I'm a spiritual being, and I'll go back to a spiritual being, and everything will be fine. But right now, I'm having a very human experience. Great, of course you are. That's what you're here for, to have a human experience. But don't forget, you never stop being divine. Let there be light in the world. So, pray affirmatively, not to some outside God, but as though your word has power to create what you want in your life, that you call it into being, and pay attention to what you're saying. Pay attention. If, set up a little watch sits on your shoulder or at the top of your head, wherever you'd like it to be, a little spiritual tiny being that says, that's not what you want to create. Oh, yeah, right. There's me saying that. And I don't that anymore. What do I say? Change it. Change it. If you find yourself saying and creating, calling into being something that you do not want, change it on the spot. If you don't realize until later you've done it, then change it then. But change it. Don't let it stand. Change it. And take the time to go within and find out what it is you actually do, so that becomes so real for you, so tangible, so yummy for you, that you cannot not have it. And then call it into being, you spiritual being.
Jennifer says she remembers abracadabra. I create as I speak.
Good girl. That's a good memory. Yes. Yes. You know, we think that was another whole time in the world when magicians said things, and abracadabra is a magic word. It really does translate to I create. You create. All the time. You are creating even now. Watch what you're thinking about what I'm saying, because it's creative. Really. You have more power than anyone else you know, especially in your own life. Don't fall victim to negative thinking. Fall victim to the ease of just agreeing with what you know is wrong. Be the powerful being that you are. Set an example for others. Show up here on Sunday. Show up here on Sunday. I'm here with you. I'm here to remind you. That's my job. And I will be here as long as you want me to be here. I will be here to remind you, to nudge you, to, what's the old phrase? Comfort the afflicted and inflict the comfortable. That's my job. I kind of like it, which I guess is why I'm here to do it again. Do we have another question? Oh, person over there who can read the screen and I can't?
Yes. Hang on. Susan said she's had to check her thoughts recently and get back to a higher road.
Good girl. Good girl. See, that's what it's about. That's
with me, so you should probably.
Okay. Susan said she's had to check her thoughts recently and get back to a higher road. We all need to do that, Susan. That's why I'm here. Because we forget. Because we go out into the world and they tell us it's not that way, and we get muddled. And because we catch that thinking, it's a virus of its own kind. Probably far more deadly than any coronavirus could ever be. We all need to check our thinking. We need to check our words and our need to wake up. There's a story. I think it's Alan Cohen, but I'm not sure. So forgive me. It doesn't matter whose story it is. Story about a doctor who was called in on a patient who had been in a coma a very, very long time. I know it's a true story. I've talked to the person that tells it. He was called in to see if there was anything he could do for this person who had been in this coma for a very, very long time, and to see if there was anything he could do. And his story is that he walked up to the bed, he leaned over the person, he kind of feel for where they were. He backed up just a little tiny bit and said, "Wake up!" And they did. And they did. We need that to ourselves periodically. I will say it to you as often as you would like me to. But we need also to remind ourselves to wake. When we wake up the spirit, the power, the divinity within us, and then it knows what to do. We don't have to have all the answers. We just have to remember to stay awake and to pay attention. When we do, miracles happen. And you who have been hanging around me for any length of time know that my definition of a miracle is that it's a perfectly normal thing that we just didn't think was going to happen. We can lead miraculous lives when we let that in, when we make room in our lives for that, when we stop complaining about the way that it is and start claiming the way that we would have it be. Well, so let me check over here and see if there's any other questions.
Kirk said that you are his living post-it note.
I love that. Thank you, Kirk. Kirk said I was his living post-it, if you couldn't hear the redhead over here. I love that. I love that. Yeah, carry me around with you. Put me where you think you need me. If you want to picture a little tiny me sitting on your shoulder and yelling in your ear, go ahead. I don't mind. I'll go with you. I'm happy to do that. What a lovely thought. You may all borrow that thought. I don't think mind at all. Just, put a little post-it note on your shoulder that says M. You'll know what it means. When people ask you, just say, I just have that. It's a reminder. Or put a string around your finger. Do something less obvious. Put a string around your finger and just know that's a voice saying, wake up. And, if you want to pop the string every once in a while to remind yourself to do that, feel free. Do whatever you need to do. Make it more fun, though. See, here's my theory, is that so many of those things that we use are not particularly fun, and so we stop doing them after a while because they get annoying. Don't let it be annoying. Make it fun. Make it fun. They talked about putting the rubber band around and going to remind you of things. Let that be my voice. Do that. I don't mind being a rubber band. I don't mind being anything if it helps us all to wake up, because when we all collectively wake, we are going to be living in such a more wonderful world that it's going to be breathtaking. I can't wait for that. And I plan on sticking around till it happens. So unless you want me to be really old and annoying, we all need work. Do we have any other questions?
Heidi says she remembers your aspirin story about a member of Pat you coming and complaining about a headache, and then prayed on it for days, and you said, go take an aspirin. God's in the aspirin.
Yeah, God's in the aspirin. In case you couldn't hear that, Heidi was remembering a story that I told about someone who kept coming and talking about a headache, ongoing headache, went. And I finally said one day, what are you doing about it? And they said, well, I'm praying. And I know if I keep praying, God will make the headache go away. I said, have you taken aspirin? Well, no. It is foolish for men to pray to a deity to do those things which he can do for himself. Take an aspirin. I know, and some of you are already getting ready to write about buying the lottery, so we all know that one. Give God a hand, would you? Do what is yours to do. I firmly believe that there are things in this universe that are God's to do. Supply air, keep the planets from bumping into each other, keep the grass growing, things like that. But I also believe that there are things in each one of our lives that are for us to do. And we need to straighten our minds what is God's to do and what is ours to do. And we need to stop asking God to do what is ours to do and get up off of our sofas and do them. There's a hand being right here, so hold on.
Nancy says, Proverbs, death and life are in the power of the tongue.
Thank you, Nancy. Proverbs, death and life are in the power of the tongue. See, and that's why the Bible will go on for centuries, and I'll someday just be a memory, because it's taken me an hour to say what the Bible just said in one short sentence. But then that's why you love me, is because I just keep talking no matter what. And my theory is, if you say it enough different ways, people will hear you. So I'll just keep talking and say it in as many different ways as I can. I'm a student of Ernest Holmes. And if you've read The Science of Mind, and I know many of you have, you know that he said things, and then in the next paragraph said it again differently, and in the following paragraph said it again differently, and then maybe skipped a paragraph and talked a little bit about something else, and then went back and said it again differently. And I'm sure his theory is just keep saying it in as many ways as you can, so that as many people as can will come to an understanding of it. I used to laugh about the fact that he did that. Now I understand.
You are much more entertaining, sister, than the Bible.
Well, yeah, and I don't fit too neatly on your book, so, but I can fit into your computer, can't I? And I'm real happy to be here. So we have another 5 minutes, and I think I would like to spend those minutes with a prayer. So join me, please. And close your eyes if that's comfortable for you. If not, then just soft focus so that you're not staring at my face on your computer. Let us just be still.
Yeah, I'm trying to play music for you.
But what we're replaying is the talk. Oh, good, it's a technical problem and I didn't do it. I'm so thrilled.
All right, just go on.
All right. So let's take a minute together. And I'm going to ask you in this minute to feel the presence. But what we're replaying is the talk. Oh, good, it's a technical problem and I didn't. Sorry. It's not like I don't do that. So I could let her talk, but just I'll stay at the beginning. So, feel the presence. It is right there where you are. And know with me in this moment that even if you can't literally feel something, it is nonetheless true that it is right there where you are. And when you turn to it, you will find it waiting, as it has always been waiting for your recognition of it. And there, in that recognition, that awareness that the very power of the universe is as deeply within you as it is within any life. Within that, the power and the glory. Within that recognition of the presence of creation within you is all that you need to change your world. Feel that presence. Feel yourself protected by, comforted by, loved by creation itself. Know that this feeling, this awareness is the key to the kingdom. If we deny it, then it seems as though it is not there, and yet it always is. And so let us no longer deny it or doubt it, but let us simply accept it as our absolute truth. And know that in doing so, we unleash our absolute power. And that power changes us and changes things and changes our world for good. What a precious treasure, this awareness. What a powerful treasure this awareness is. And as we realize that we can no longer claim the darkness, we can no longer claim that we are alone, we can no longer claim powerlessness, for we have awakened the power of creation within us, and it will not go back to sleep. And so we use that power now. We consciously use that power now to create the world we dream of living in. To eliminate those things which are not working, and to lift up and to embolden those things that are, and to bring into existence those things which have not yet been, but are waiting. Step by step, word by world, we make our world new again. And we create, once again, the garden. Grateful, grateful that we have awakened, grateful that we will remember, grateful for the voices that remind us, and grateful for our own memory of what is right and good, creative and godly. Our world from this moment forward be the same, and that is all. And so we let it be. Amen. It's Sunday, and I name this day good. All of it. Every blessed moment of it. not for myself, but for all of us. This is a very good day. And so we let it be. Blessings to all of you. I love our hour together. I'll be back here Sunday night, same place at 7 o'clock. Wednesday night. Did I say Sunday? I did. I heard myself say that. That's not right. Wednesday night, I'll be back. And next Sunday at noon. Same bat time, same bat channel. I look forward to seeing all of you and meeting the friends that you bring with you. It's a good day. Go out and make it so. Or stay in and make it so. Love the day you're in. See you Wednesday. Bye for now.